Greetings, SciFiction awesomeness. My name is Owen C. Cotter, and you are watching SciFiction digitally simulcasting and everything from YouTube to X to Twitch, and most importantly, Facebook with our biggest following so far. We thank you, the fans, for following all of our pages, subscribing, and coming up to you, broadcasting on all thrusters. Today, here in about 10 minutes, we are going to be bringing on Neil Gibson from Twisted Comics. He has some super cool adaptations, including of Black Mirror famous episodes. Let him talk about that. Right quick, I want to share some things. This week on Sunday, the 8th, is the Saturn Awards, the 53rd Annual Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror. I want to show you, I don't know if we can go through all the nominations, but we're going to show you some of the stuff that's going on with that. Hold, stand by. If you're listening to this on Subspace Radio Network, we are going to be at the Saturn Awards this week. We'll be broadcasting out. We've got a few audio files that we'll be nominating. These are the nomination, rather. Let's go over this real quick. Tell you about that while we're talking. The Saturn Awards, 53rd Anniversary Saturn Awards nominations for this year's Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror. As you can tell, there's a lot of categories. Best Science Fiction Film, Avatar Fire, Begonia, Jurassic World Rebirth, Predator Badlands, The Running Man, Tron Ares. It's an unbelievable amount of guests and movies and nominations. This year is the 40th anniversary of Alien. So basically, they're going to have James Cameron will be there. There's going to be a lot of people. Sigourney Weaver will be there, as well as Linda Hamilton from Terminator. So there's also the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. Confirmed, I believe, is William Shatner, Rod Roddenberry, the creator's son of the Star Trek franchise, and Alex Kurtzman. If you look at these nominations are intense. You've got Jude Law from Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Pretty much every single show, including the lead actress Sydney Chandler from Alien Earth. Really want to interview James Marsden, who plays Cyclops in X-Men. Always been a big Cyclops fan. Anybody never. Tom Cruise is there presenting an award. It's going to be James Gunn, Superman. I mean, look at this. Chris McQuarrie, Mission Impossible. Dan Trachtenberg, we interviewed him, I believe, once. He did some other stuff. He was really cool. I think we did interview him. Avatar 5, of course, James Cameron. Ryan Fuller. You've got Fantastic Four's First Steps will be best film and screenwriting. It's on and on and on. This is one of the most stacked, maybe honestly the most powerfully packed science fiction event we've been to next to San Diego or anything like that. And this is a full gold platter providing you, the fans, with the best content we can get always. The Arc Sci-Fi, Dean Devlin, we all love you, man. Great series, but I highly recommend checking out on Sci-Fi or I believe Peacock. Andor, Diego Luna will be there. Looking forward to hopefully interviewing him. Severance, Silo, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Ghost, The Librarian's Next Chapter, Outlander, Stranger Things, Wednesday with Jenna Ortega, Anne Rice's. It just goes on and on. The Walking Dead, Yellow Jackets, 28 years later, The Conjuring, best horror film. Cinematic films, best fantasy films, How to Train Your Dragon, The Life of Chuck, Lilo and Stitch, Wicked, Jeff Goldblum will be there, F1 the movie. It's Tom Cruise presenting for Final Reckoning, Mission Impossible, Tom Hiddleston, Loki, The Life of Chuck, Oscar Isaac, Frankenstein. Highly recommend checking out that new Frankenstein. It was amazing, in my opinion. Michael B. Jordan from Sinners, also Creed, the movies with Sylvester Stallone. Pedro Pascal will be there, The Fantastic Four, First Steps. Sam Worthington, Avatar, will be there. He's also in the Terminator Salvation, was a great movie as well. Julia Garner, Weapons. Ellie Fanning from Predator Badlands. Rachel Brosnahan, Superman. Vanessa Kirby, Fantastic Four, Storm. Zoe Salanda from Avatar and Star Trek franchises. Jeff Goldblum, as we mentioned. Stephen Lang from Avatar. Matt Mikkelsen, Dust Bunny, always liked him in Casino Royale. Ebon Moss-Baccarat from Fantastic Four. Una Chaplin, the granddaughter of Charlie Chaplin, for her work in Mia Goth, Frankenstein. Ariana Grande for Wicked. It's on and on and on and on. This is like the level of this event. If you've never checked out the Saturn Awards, highly recommend going to SaturnAwards.tv. This is their homepage here for the 53rd Annual Saturn Awards. This is the event to go to if you're a fan of science fiction, fantasy, horror. Tune in. It will be broadcast, I believe, on this site. It was broadcast on Electric Now last year. I'm not sure, but if you have Electric Now, I recommend checking that out. Let's go to the About page. News items here real quick. Gold Derby, Tom Cruise to present Visionary Award to Christopher McQuarrie. Nerdist, Saturn Awards, the Reactor. This is just endless. Crunchyroll, Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle, Saturn Award nominations for anime. 53rd annual. This is a cool article from Forbes. This one's really cool, actually. This one here is, let's see if I bring this up. It's bringing it. Yeah, it is. Good. This award here talks about the involvement with the 53rd annual Saturn Awards for Star Trek and Aliens. Sigourney Weaver will be there, as well as Captain Kirk here, William Shatner, Rod Roddenberry, good people. But all these people are just legends in science fiction. James Cameron will be there. If you have not checked out the Saturn Award nominations, we recommend going to Saturn Awards, I believe, .tv, and you can see all the goodies from the 53rd annual Saturn Awards. Next week on streaming, and we'll be piping in and broadcasting and uploading all kinds of content. So check out our Facebook page, which is down there at SciFiction COM. Also on Instagram, we are working heavily on developing the Instagram into a Titan-level Instagram page. We have recruited editors and writers and producers, me as well as creators and anything, everything. Our goal is, if you, the fans, like what we do, go follow Instagram, same hashtag or / as SciFiction COM. SciFiction was taken on Insta. It's a picture of clouds. I don't know why. And then the clouds part and the sun shines, and there's the horizon up there. Actually, that has meaning. The comet goes up to the stars, and it's the sun coming up over the horizon. There's meaning behind this logo behind us, probably. We're simulcasting on YouTube, X, Twitch, Facebook. About 300,000 of awesome fans that we love bringing this content. This is like my full-time job. A lot of people that do pop culture blogs and all kind of goodies, they have a side job. This is my main job, which I absolutely love. And the ways that I'm able to do this is because I've been very smart and some degree in business, and I do a lot of funding of this on my own. But brings to the better question, we can always use help with external things. So we're going to go to the SciFiction site real quick. I'm going to show you some news updates later on in the next broadcast. SciFiction.com. Here's your hub for sci-fi goodies on all thrusters. We have this little thing here, contact, dropped on about. That's about the site. But this says sponsor. If you are a creator, an actor, an event that wants me to host or do some panels or anything else, I can talk all day and about many variety of pop culture, sci-fi, horror, fantasy topics. We have a network reach as I'll probably double this. It's accelerating so fast I can't even track. This is pretty relevant, somewhat close. Now I've just broke another 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers. Thank you, fans. Our audience is 65.8% U.S. based, with a core demographic of 25 to 44, sweet spot for old and new sci-fi and pop culture of men. Also women are in there as well. Global network, predominantly United States based. We have, I'm not going to sell this like Jordan Belfort, sell me a pen, but we have advertising and premium real estate on the site. We reach millions and millions and millions and millions and millions a year through all of our social site and everything. So our goal is to continue providing until I'm alive and maybe uploaded like Tron or dead. I'll always have somebody here putting content out for you, hopefully even after my death one day. Homepage banner, $500 if you want some spot. We can work deals. This custom bundle quote, that's for if you want the whole thing. Our sponsorships usually start about $600 minimum just for base stuff. But we're looking for people to sponsor with anything from hybrid of money to help fund these events that we go to provide you, the fans, of the content. Products, if you have cool sci-fi, whether your t-shirts, I'll wear stuff. Godzilla, Super 7, Revolts, anybody that wants to give me product and do a product or a hybrid blend of a sponsorship of any kind, we are grateful because we go to a lot of events. I need clothing. I need watches. I need wristbands. If you have an iWatch, like anything we can wear to promote your brand while we're on camera, interviewing all these celebrities and actors and great producers and people of content, we welcome it. And anything that revolves money, we're welcome to talk about levels of that because all this stuff goes to the bulk of it, more or less for equipment, writers, production, editing, and travel expenses to all these events. And I can't fund it all for the end of the eternity, but I will if I have to provide you, the fans, the quality content you deserve. This is awesome. So this last thing I'll replace is one real quick here before we get jolting on to the awesomeness. We've got Neil coming up. I think he's in the Quantum Leap waiting room here. Let's show one quick thing. We're going to bring him on. He's got a new Kickstarter, by the way. We're going to talk about that, and Neil get his side up here. For people just joining me, my name is Owen C. Cotter. I am the host of SciFiction.com. the only place that you can see me on here, but you can see Sci-Fi a lot of other places. So I recommend checking out the Saturn Awards, 53rd anniversary Saturn Awards coming up this weekend on Sunday, the 8th. I believe it's streaming on SaturnAwards.tv and as well possibly Electric Now. I know Dean Devlin's company was streaming last year. So check it out, Google that, find that, and watch that. This event is stacked. I'm talking every piece of pop culture, sci-fi, fantasy, horror content you can ever imagine. You're listening to this on Subspace Radio. My name is Owen Cotter. Here we go. We're going to bring on Neil. Neil, how's it going, sir? How's your day going?
It's going very well, thanks. How are you?
Doing awesome. We're ramping up, man. We're talking about sci-fi, pop culture, comics, and the 53rd anniversary Saturn Awards, which will be coming to you from live this coming weekend.
I know. I just heard you. I was watching it, and I just think your American accent just makes everything sound so much more energetic and exciting.
I appreciate you, man. I've been looking at all your comics here. I've got your website here on the digital. Well, they got a new feature here. I didn't see this. It's kind of cool. Always blinging this up. There you go. I got bar it down to the bottom. Your site is Neil Gibson's Twisted Comics is the name of it. I've got a lot of questions compiled here, by the way. So I don't know if we can go through all of them. We've got some good ones, though. So first off, just tell me a little bit. How did you get into comics? What was your gateway in all this? I mean, pop culture, Black Mirror, and all that.
Gateway into comics or into reading them or making them?
Making them, both. I mean, what's some stuff you grew up with? How did you get into all the comic book goodness?
I liked, there's something called the Beano here in the UK, which is aimed at young children. And I read that, but I went to boarding school because my parents are sadists. So at age 9, they were not allowed. They were banned because they were like, comics are bad. I was fine. And then, so I wasn't allowed to read them. And then at 13, I just managed to find another copy. And I thought, my God, it is bad. Because it was aimed at kids. Yeah. And then I discovered Spider-Man at age 16, and I loved it.
It's great. Yeah.
But by the time I got to 18, I kind of felt like all the stories were the same. Like he just beat a bad guy, and then another one come along who's even stronger, and he'd struggle, and then just beat him, and then it was just the same. So like I thought I'd grown up. I was out of comics, and then I was 23. I was backpacking the world after university, and I walked into a shop in Vancouver. The film X-Men had just come out.
The 2000 one with James Marsden, who we were talking about earlier.
That's right, that one. Which, by the way, I watched 2 weeks ago for the first time in 20 years with my kids, so they could see it.
It's a great movie. It holds up. And the second one was good too, United. The third one, they killed off my boy Cyclops, but they came back in Days of Future Past.
100% agree. Yes, and the opening scene when Magneto escapes in volumes that was brilliant. That scene.
Yeah, that's badass.
Anyway, so at that point, I went to a shop in Vancouver, and they heard my British accent. They assumed I personally knew Neil Gaiman, Garth Ennis, and Alan Moore. That's awesome. And I said, I'd never heard of them, but you've read Watchmen, though, right?
Of course, Watchmen with the Dr. Manhattan, and you got the comedian.
I didn't know any of that stuff, and they said, "Stay here." They went to the back of the shop. They bought the book and said, "Buy this." With such passion, kind of like how you speak, that I bought it. I remember feeling stupid as I walked out the shop. I just spent $30 on something that I didn't want.
It's a good book.
But it was just their passion, and it changed my life because I didn't realize how intelligent comics could be. So you can see my library here, how massive it is.
Let me zoom that in. That's insane. Get the thrusters on you as best I can. There you go. Wow. There you go. Wow. That's awesome.
And that's not all of it either.
That's impressive.
So I became a massive fan, and then the reason I started making comics was because I worked as a management consultant. I'd fly around the world to help companies. And then I was stuck on a project in Qatar in the Middle East. And this one was easy. Normally you work till past 10 every night. This one I was done by 7 back in the hotel room. Yeah. And I had all this free time. But my family and friends are back in the UK. So I thought I love reading comics. I thought I'd try making one. And my first one, Twisted Dark, went to #1 on Amazon. And I was like,
that's good. This is a pretty good goal, and to have that as your first to get #1, that's awesome.
It was complete luck, and I don't know how it happened. Because I was science background. I was a master's of engineering. I had nothing creative at all, but people seemed to like my stuff. So I gave myself 2 years. I quit. I said I can always go back to my old job, but I'm still doing this 12 years later. So that's what happened.
So you basically followed your passion.
Yeah.
it took off, and now you're living a rock star dream of your life, enjoying what you do. That's everybody can't say that. That's awesome, man. It's very cool.
Oh, thank you. I still make more money doing
What's
what I
that?
did before. I made more money doing what I did before, but I get to make comics. So
You get to make what you enjoy. That's just awesome. That's what I was telling the fans earlier before you joined the broadcast. Basically, this is all my life. That's what I do every day. I have no day job. It's all sci-fi all the time. So we're gearing up over this next, I think 9 months. We have we have an event almost every month. And we're not doing events. We're talking to the creators like you yourself, actors, anybody and everybody. I've been working on this since, golly, it's been like 20 years almost now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good for you, man.
Appreciate it, man. About 2008, tentatively 2009 is when we kind of got the site. Originally, I don't know if the fans know this, we were originally going to turn into a social network, but then everything changed with Facebook and all that. So we had people coding social interfaces and IP addresses changed with the content management systems and all that. So yeah, it was a lot. We had programmers on payroll just coding all day. But we got this site, and we want to talk to you about your projects. You have some adaptations of Black Mirror. 2 episodes specifically. There's a new one that's coming out with the Kickstarter here soon. When I get to that, U.S.S Callister. How did you go about, what opportunities did the comics allow you, that television could not? Yes. Tell us a little about Callister.
So what's the question?
The question is just, what was your biggest creative challenge, and what opportunities does the comics allow you that television couldn't while adapting that particular episode, the famous episode U.S.S Callister?
Well, I think the biggest challenge with everything really is this is the first time I'm taking a story that's not mine. So yes. I have to try and respect what the creator's intention was. So you watch the show, you read the screenplay, when you watch the show, and it's a bit different because actors add something to it. Right. And so I'm going more for the director's vision than I am the writing one, because I just want to try and convey what I think the author wanted people to know. That was the biggest challenge, really. Right. But in terms of the medium, what we did was, if you actually look at the episode, when you first see it, it's really old 1960s Star Trek, right?
Yeah, it's basically like a spoof of sorts or something.
Yeah, and it's got this big black lines down the side because, before widescreen existed. And so when we made the comic book, we actually went back to the 1960s. Who's the best artist then? And Jack Kirby was king, really.
Kirby was king, yes.
So we did it in Jack Kirby art style and the coloring as well. Then it cuts to the modern day. It's very drab. And then going back into the 1960s, or back into the game, it's no longer in the TV episode as old. It's not so grainy. The widescreen, it has now widescreen. So we thought, okay, let's make it 1970s. And who was the king of the 70s? Neil Adams. So we changed the art style to look like Neil Adams. And then
I got to meet him before he passed away. Super nice guy, man. He was in a friend of mine's production, man. That was a loss to comics, man.
I met him at London Comic Con once, actually. Yes.
He made the photorealistic expressions he was able to convey on the comics too, which I always thought was really cool.
And there's the choice of shot as well. I remember this one image of Batman stabbing someone. Oh, yeah. I'm like, Batman stabbing someone? What? Like, it gets your attention. Yeah. Sorry, I lost track of.
I was just talking about Neil Adams and how you were getting into the artwork. I've got some questions about the artwork, by the way, but go ahead about the artwork.
Well, and we actually had a fourth art style as well, because when he goes to the new version of the game, it's like, if in the TV show, it looks like J.J. Abrams, all this flair.
It does.
So we used the fourth art style for that as well. So I think about 1% of people will get the references we put in there, but those who do become real fans. It's like in Watchmen, going back to that, there's one scene where this bottle is being thrown in space. Yes. And it's rotating. But those star structures are not random. They're actually constellations, real ones, and they are rotated to match the bottle. So and no one notices this stuff. I read about this later. So it's a lot of extra work, but some people do notice this stuff, and that's how you get massive fans, by being the attention to detail.
It's totally true. You're talking about artwork. You worked with Silvana Beltramo. I believe I got that right.
Silvana Beltramo. Yes.
Silvana Beltramo. Yeah, he captures that vibrant vintage sci-fi look you were talking about, while still feeling modern and unsettling. Just curious, how closely did you collaborate on tone, panel layout, and pacing to maintain that cinematic Black Mirror tension?
Well, pacing that's up to me because I say what panels I want, number of panels,
Right.
and I have a weird way of writing because I'm lazy. So I actually write in Excel, not in Word.
Okay.
So it's like I say what I want drawn in one column, and then what the dialogue is another, and then I use formulae to say how many panels are on each page. But
Right.
what happens is that I send him that, and he sends me the roughs or thumbnails, and I can just check the flow is right.
Okay.
I hate
Like the structure or whatever. Yeah.
exactly, and he's really good at changing things up. In that,
Looks good.
like having if you have the same size panel time after time, it's boring. It's like sentences. When you're writing, you have to have short sentences, and sometimes you have long, expansive sentences. You mix it up, and so he mixes up the panels, and he does it naturally very well because he's an artist. You should try and let artists do their thing, but sometimes it doesn't work. And I actually have an art book which shows times where he did better than I expected, let him run with it, and other times where I actually no, this isn't working for this reason. I have to explain why.
Well, that's interesting that, you talk about the art stuff. I mean, I just have a question on the side of beyond what you've done. I mean, pop culture, pop art is almost like considered fine art now. You got collectors that collect this amazing stuff that's been done to these creators. Going back, I mean, you got of course, the golden age, the pulp comics, like, detective and amazing stories type stuff like that. And the Shadow, Flash Score, you name it. Just curious, like in the future, like maybe a decade or 20 years from now, do you see this medium becoming just more and more and more popular and collectible? I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on, I guess, right?
Look, I don't know. I think look, there'll always be a place for it, and it is growing. But then, like, that's inflation as well. So I don't know how much is down to that.
Yeah.
The issue is there are more and more types of mediums every day, well, every year at least. So, like VR is a thing that didn't exist before, and even just TikTok or scrolling, like social media, like it's changed enormously. And YouTube is killing it. It's bigger. YouTube last year paid more to its creators than all the streamers paid together combined. It's extraordinary, and a lot of it's just small short form content. So I think comics will continue to grow, but whether it grows as fast as other mediums, I don't know. I'm not necessarily sure, but I do know that I prefer print to digital, even though, like in Japan now, 70% of comics is consumed digitally. But I prefer print because I get so much screen time anyway. I want to sometimes I don't want to have that short attention span with things flashing. I want to actually read a book,
right?
And I read prose books as well, like proper books. But there's something about comics which is the efficiency. I love how a picture says 1,000 words. You get just one facial expression, and you know what that character's thinking. And you can, unlike TV and film, you go at the speed of the director. With comics, you can take as much time as you like to look at a panel or a page.
Right. The interesting stuff that I always enjoy about comics, like you talk about print being the like your favorite. I love print because you can hold in your hands, you can look at what they've illustrated. It's almost like got a soul to it. All of these comics are universes in their own. They have characters. A lot of them are very relatable to people that may be struggling with different issues. I mean, different things in their own life. Peter Parker, like you mentioned, Spider-Man. Just curious, like some go with the flow here. These characters, you've got your own original characters as well. Is there anything that you've kind of, in any of these books, learned from based on stuff you've read from others like Jack Kirby and Stanley and all that you kind of translated into something that you may have learned in your own life, or just kind of brought to those universes and beyond?
Oh, well, so many things, because I think any creator does borrow from things that they've consumed.
Yes.
I like Alan Moore's wordplay. Like he says, like in going back to Watchmen, they hit the elevator button, ground floor coming up, and it's a flashback to a guy falling out the window to hit the ground floor.
I'm talking about the comedian, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I use a lot of scene transitions with wordplay, and so to try and which mimics Alan Moore, I guess. I don't know, there's so many things you learn by reading. Like I think Stephen King said, if you haven't got time, because a lot of writers don't read. And he said that if you haven't got time to read, you haven't got time to write. You have to
For sure.
consume comics to make them, I think. And it's a funny thing, though. The more I make comics, the fewer I actually like. I've become a lot more discerning with my taste. And so sometimes, like, months will go by, I haven't read a good comic, and I read one, and suddenly I'm excited because it's actually good. And I go, oh, bugger, it's better than my stuff.
Yeah. You talk about the watch. Yeah, this is the Watchmen scene here when the comedian gets thrown out the window here. It's a fantastic. If nobody's ever seen or watched the movies, get to, but seen the comic book or read it rather, I highly recommend this book. I mean, that was your gateway into comics next to Spider-Man. That's a pretty powerful, gateway into comics just in general. I mean, my gateway is a little different. So I was always fans of sci-fi. So I had some Star Trek and Star Wars, Marvel, and stuff like that. But one of my favorite, if not my ultimate and most favorite comic book is X-Men. And I was lucky enough to get a few of the original 1960s issues, and I would just peel through those, man. I'm like, this could eat up X-Men all day long, and Spider-Man as well, and Avengers, but I was mostly in the X-Men. So I'm talking about like James Marsden and Cyclops. I think he deserves his due, and I'm really hoping he gets his due in the new Avengers Doomsday, because he waited, like you said, 20 years ago for 2000 X-Men. It's been about 15 or 20 years since he even played the role of Cyclops, since like Days of Future Past, correct?
Mm. God, was that long ago?
Yeah,
wow.
Like that. 26 years this year just for X-Men 2000. Got to ask, you talking about, we're going to get into San Junipero here shortly, but the opening space fleet sequences of the book that you put in the comic form, they feel almost like classic retro sci-fi, bold colors, heroic framing, dramatic dialogue, before we're reminded something darker is underneath. How intentional was that tonal contrast in the script? And did you structure the comic visually to seduce the reader the same way Daly's fantasy seduces him? That's a question.
That is a question. I don't think I tried to seduce the reader in it. It was more
in Daly's mindset. He's kind of like a narcissist or whatever.
No, yeah, absolutely. But honestly, what I wanted to do was just give a throwback to the original Star Trek. Like, well, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but that sort of vibe.
Trek's all 60 years this year, 6 years.
Wow. And that's that 60s look to it. So
yes,
even the font, we look for the original Star Trek comic books.
I noticed that the font does look like the OGS.
We did our homework, so I wanted to just recreate the original Star Trek feel vibe. That's what I was going for. I don't think I was trying to seduce the reader. I was just, because I think most people who buy the book will have seen the episode. What I'm really hoping is that people who haven't seen Black Mirror will be given the comic and they go, actually, I quite like this story, and they discover the science fiction that way. I remember because I'm a huge fan of sci-fi, and
me too.
when The Matrix came out, there's some girls I was speaking to, and they really liked it, and they were surprised. They said, we didn't think science fiction would be cool. Like, is there anything else out there? I was like, yes!
There's tons of stuff.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff.
Actually,
I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Who's your favorite science fiction short story writer?
Well, I like the OG stuff too. H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, all that. I would have to say, that's a powerful question. Isaac Asimov had some good stuff too. I mean, intellectual things, I, Robot. She means short stories, right? Like short stories.
Short stories, because I like long forms. I read. I like long stories as well, but short stories for some reason always appeal to me the most, because
I would say
one concept that makes you think in every short story.
I would say the short story that was based on the 1982 film Blade Runner, The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
Philip K. Dick.
Philip K. Dick might be a good one. That's one just comes to the top of the head. There's many others, but there's so many. I'd say the thing is, a lot of kids and just young adults today, it's amazing. Unless they're into sci-fi and doing research on Google or something, they don't know who these writers are, like Philip K. Dick or Isaac Asimov, R.C. Clarke or Robert Heinlein or any of those. Even the OG like Jules Verne or H.G. Wells or anybody like that, they don't know who they are. So once they find out that, for instance, like 20,000, the new Nautilus series, right, on AMC is based on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Then they're like, oh, who is this? And what else did he do? You know, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. And they get into this universe. And if they continue getting into pop culture and science fiction, then they go down the metaphorical rabbit hole of learning about all these amazing stories that may or may not one day be futuristic or envisioning some kind of a future that we can all live in. Which brings to a question, U.S.S. Callister, we're going to talk about San Juniper next. We've talked about Robert Daly. He's such a layered and unsettling character. Did writing this graphic novel, curious, just change your perspective on him anyway? And were there any moments you felt more empathy for him or even less for the character of Daly?
Not really, because I mean, when you watch, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but when you watch it, you initially feel sorry for him.
Yeah, first
and then you're like, oh, you're actually a bit of a dick.
Yeah. They show it as the other way around, though, with his buddy is like the guy that's an asshole, but then he was the one that's kind of,
Yeah. And then you saw the sequel, what they did there, flipping the characters again. That was brilliant. I love that.
Genius.
Yeah, genius. It was.
The ethics of digital consciousness. That's one thing I want to get before we get too deep into the rabbit hole of also the Black Mirror. Black Mirror always pushes us to question technology and morality in the comic format. I love this question. Did you find yourself leaning even further into the ethical questions around digital clones and autonomy? And was there a particular scene in the graphic novel adaptation where you felt the moral horror hit harder on the page than it did on the screen?
So even though I love comics, it's my preferred medium, I actually going to be honest and think that nothing hits harder than television, because you have the music and the atmosphere, and you can and the camera work. Yeah. Whereas, and the reason I'm saying this is because
brief interruption there, so I pushed something. Go ahead. You're saying that the screen.
Oh yeah. So I love horror books and horror comics, but I don't watch horror films. I get scared.
We don't even cover horror really at all in SciFiction. We kind of keep it clean, because it sounds now it gets so demonic and negative, and maybe Aliens or Predator Badlands or something like that.
Well, yeah. Well, that's not really horror, I don't think. But the thing is, horror scares me, but it doesn't scare me in books or comics, because just the music and the intensity, and it's like, so you're never going to match the intensity of TV, in my opinion, with a comic book. So there's that. And what was the rest of the question?
Just generally like the digital consciousness, like was there a particular scene in the graphic novel where you felt the moral horror hit harder on the page than the screen, like maybe a little bit more impactful using the art instead of the visual? Like
not the screen, but there was one panel where when the little boy gets killed in space.
Yes, in space. Yeah, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, what we do is we put it as a splash page. So they turn the page and suddenly the whole page, and that's impactful, especially seeing a child being hurt. So I think that actually maybe that did hit harder than the screen. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. And the guy that plays his dad, who's also digitally cloned in the Callister universe, you could tell that really hit the clone very hard, and he did not want to go through that again. That's why he wasn't originally going with the plan to try and sabotage to get through the asteroid, the patch that they're patching the software with and all that. I got to ask, we've got some more time. We want to get into San Junipero. That's another famous Black Mirror episode. Most beloved episodes, especially because of its hopeful tone and romantic core. Just curious, what were the unique challenges of joys of adapting this particular episode into a comic book?
Well, I think the most fun bit was getting the 80s and 90s and 2000s look, but without doing any copyright infringement. So you cannot show a DeLorean car. Like we had various covers we wanted to have. And so, like, I don't know, so someone had an artist drew like Home Alone, or drew like Terminator films to try and get like cultural landmarks, or Fresh Prince, like from as
Bel Air
90s, yeah. But we're not allowed. We don't have the rights to those images. We can't use them, so we have to try and skew it so people can kind of recognize it, but not, so we don't get in trouble. That was challenging, because sometimes you think, oh, that looks really good, but we can't use it. Same with music, actually. The songs.
Yes.
originally we had the songs in there, like the lyrics, and then I tried to change them just a little bit, a word here or there, and the legal team said no. It's people will know what it's referencing, and that's libel. So we had to just cut all the music, unfortunately.
Astoria says, "Hey, and hope all's well. All's going good. Rock and roll, and hope you are too."
One thing that we did that is interesting though is we use musical notes.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was a rock song versus a ballad or a love song, the musical notes, the shape of them changes in the so that it's just subtle because like, fonts change so much. You can tell like dated horror, like 1960s horror fonts are so different from now. It's a whole language with fonts.
Speaking of fonts, it's funny you mentioned it. I got this big logo behind me. You know how I came up with that? So Superman, Christopher Reeves, the Sal comic film, right? The logos come at you like real 3D. Yeah. I wanted this to look kind of 3D, but I wanted that to kind of look like Star Wars a little bit. That's more like Superman. And this back here is actually a comet going up to the stars, visiting a positive future, and the horizon of the sun coming up over the planet. So I thought that was interesting. So the font style, we took a lot of revisions on that. But back to the comics and Junipero, you mentioned
that's cool. I like that. Look, you put more effort into that than James Cameron did with Avatar. You know about
which one? There's three of them now. Which one are you talking about?
Because Avatar, if you look at it, he used from Microsoft Word, Papyrus is the font he used for saying, and that was $1 billion film, right?
Yes.
I mean, my favorite ever font for a film is Dune. If you look at it,
the David Lynch Dune, right?
No, the new one.
The new one. Okay, yeah, it's a cool font.
If you look it up, it's just the same symbol every time. I'm just going to quickly show it to you here.
There's a third movie coming up too. You excited for that one?
Very much.
Yeah,
so it looks like that's the D, and then it's the same shape U, and then it's N, and then for E, and it has a that's a planet over there.
Yes.
Like just doing that. It's so simple, so elegant, and I never see. That's my favorite font for a film I've ever seen. It's getting a bit geeky here, and that's
it's all good. It's all good, man.
And those are two great films, by the way. Don't know if you've seen them or not, but I love them.
I've seen both films. I thought that Josh Brolin was a perfect choice for Gurney, the mentor, because the original was Patrick Stewart, and I mean the David Lynch film is still pretty good. It's a great film. You got the music when he's riding the sandworm and all that. But I think Timothy Chalamet did an amazing job as Paul Atreides. Josh Brolin was great. David Bautista's character that was like the brother, and the gentleman. He's the guy who played Elvis. He was the Elvis, and he was in another series that he played that was stayed of the Harkonnens was a series called Masters of the Air. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a World War II series where he plays the same kind of. He's got that look, that kind of World War II look. He did such a great job in that. When I saw that he was going to be in Dune, I'm like, this is solid gold, man. And he played that character ruthlessly. And
he was great as Elvis. He's a great actor. Aston Butler is his name, I think.
Mm-hmm. Austin Butler. I couldn't remember his name. Yes, Austin Butler is absolutely phenomenal in that film. And I also liked the fact they brought in Christopher Walken as the prince. The king of the universe, the emperor. Yeah, that was super cool. You mentioned the '80s nostalgic look and feel of the San Juniper. The original episode is steeped in 1980s nostalgia, music style, color, atmosphere. How did I think you kind of touched a little bit, how did your creative team approach bringing the nostalgic feel to life on this graphic novel? And I have a second question kind of jumping into that. You mentioned like the nostalgia without the copyrights. Just curious, were there any at all? I don't know if I noticed, but any Easter eggs from things that you kind of could homage in there?
Yeah, there are lots, but I don't want to say them.
Yeah.
Some of them I'm not sure we're supposed to do, but we put them in anyway.
There are some cool ones. I also mentioned the fans. You got to check that out for yourself. It's awesome.
Yeah. And you'll see even just stuff like people's T-shirts. What's written on someone's T-shirt is a reference to other Black Mirror stuff and also just the time period. I had to look up JF. What's his name? Who was it? Who was the president when with Berlin Wall fell? It was Reagan.
Reagan? Was it Reagan?
Yeah, it was Reagan, I think. Yes.
Ronald Reagan, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to look up his speech when he was because in the 90s, just to get it right.
Did you ever remember when David Hasselhoff sung when they were breaking down the Berlin
Oh
Wall?
my God!
The LED light in the jacket. I've been looking
That's
for freedom. That was awesome, dude. I was like, this. I saw it in the archives on YouTube. It was amazing.
that was
Actually, speaking of 80s nostalgia, I'm known to sing one David Hasselhoff song. I do that occasionally, but the one I like to sing is the True Survivor from Kung Fury, the 80s retro film that this guy did on YouTube. And it's they get David Hasselhoff a few years ago, dress him up as like an 80s like rock and roll hero. And this like it's kind of like homage like Beverly Hills Cop meets Miami Vice meets sci-fi, time travels, goes back to the Viking Age, rides on a dinosaur, then time travels back and battles an alternate parallel like time traveling Adolf Hitler with robots. Yeah.
Wow.
But that song is amazing. Hasselhoff nailed that. Got to ask you. Collaborated.
I did love Kung Fury, by the way. It was
you saw it? Okay, cool. That's all. Hacker man. You've had too much time. Oh man, that was great.
Triceracop.
Triceracop is the new partner, man. So you brought together a talented team like Phil Buchanan, Agnes Boza, and Rob Jones for this project. How did your collaboration shape the tone and energy of the comic, and were there any artistic choices that surprised you from them?
Well, what's great about the team is that you can trust them to go and do their own thing. Now, so ultimately, it is. I'm the editor, so it's what I want to have. But the more you can lean on the skills of your people, the better the product. Because it's not just you; it's everyone else's talent. Artists are visually better than me. That's why they're artists. Same and colorists know color theory better than I do. You know, so but. So, comics is a collaborative medium, right? And you just have to let them do their own thing, but as long as you're getting what you want, and you just have to have a firm hand at that point. It's no different from a director of a film. You've got to trust your actors. But you hire the actors because you know they're good. And I hired a great team.
Yeah, a fantastic team. I read both previews. Can't spoil it, but I read both previews of the books. They're absolutely amazing. I got to ask, the San Juniper comic, we got a little bit of time, is launching on Kickstarter with exclusive rewards. What are some of the most exciting backer incentives or perks that fans should look out for on the Kickstarter?
Well, there's the high-end stuff, which some people like. It's only one copy in the world of this book. Actually,
one copy.
I'm going to show you something that's quite cool. Actually.
See what you get.
One second. Here. Sorry, it's the first time I've ever in an interview gone off camera, but I wanted to show you this.
It's all good, man.
We're excited. So, for one of our other Kickstarters, we had it's silver colored edition of the Theory of My Science Fiction series, and there's one special story, and there was one reward which has only won the world off a gold cover instead of a silver cover.
Right? Dude, that's sick.
Now the problem is, in case it got lost in the post, we had to have another one made, right, just in case we could send it to the guy.
Right.
But when it was confirmed that he received this, we've burnt the other copy of it.
Oh, dude, it's like an archived, like a brilliantly burned copy, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, so we actually burnt it. We have a video of burning it. So there's only one copy that someone has, and that's that guy has it. And this is
wow. So what are you going to do with that copy? You going to put that like in like an archive, or is your personal copy, or you?
I have this frame. Well, it's framed. It's hung up on my wall outside my office. I have all these different things framed there. But so the high end stuff, people can get the only copy in the world of a certain thing, and the artist can do sketch. Another cool thing is the artists do sketches of you inside the book as well.
Okay.
But I think the coolest ones, really, and we think these are going to be snapped up instantly, is you have the opportunity to be drawn into the comic as characters in the background or a speaking role. So when the Kickstarter launches, those are some tiers, and you can pay to be drawn into it. And we think those are going to go really quickly, but we've not made it that expensive because we want people who are actually genuine fans of comics to get a chance to be in it without breaking the bank.
I've never heard of that ever being, from my perspective, ever being featured in a Kickstarter, much less a comic. That's super cool. I mean, that's a cool perk if you ever had one. I got to ask, you collect a lot of stuff like in the comics and things like that. are there any? You collect any other things like original pop cover, art, or any other stuff that you collect beyond comics, or any cool stuff? We have a lot of collectors in the site as well.
I'm embarrassed to say I'm not really a collector. I'm a reader, so I don't actually mind getting secondhand books or things that are damaged because I just want to read the content. That's what I care about. So I don't actually have. I do have figurines and things that people have given me, and I've got a lot of. I have a lot of stuff about Werther's. So, okay. I'm actually hesitant to tell you this because this may.
No, we got a lot of fans, and every kind of charmer you can imagine on this thing. We got a database of like 9 zillion.
So what happens was when I go to Comic Cons abroad, I had volunteers who'd help at the stall, people who read my stuff and then they helped sell. And I'd always at the airport I'd buy some British chocolates. So people would get British chocolates and then chat to them and try and sell books. And the volunteers found it really funny to try and take these chocolates and put them in my pockets or like in my jacket. They found it hilarious. But I had one volunteer called Ian who was absolutely rubbish at it. I caught him every single time. So his tactic was instead of buying these chocolate eclairs, he went and bought a bag of Werther's.
Oh, Werther's are like hard candy, little butterscotch or whatever.
Yeah. But then he went and he gave them to people who were about to buy a book. And then so they'd say, Neil, can you sign my book, please? And they open the book and there'd be a Werther's inside there. and it snowballed and it became this thing where people just gave me Werther's out of nowhere. And like
Werther's are good. I had one the other night after I had a steak dinner, and they had one in a little bowl by the piano lady, and I was like, I haven't had one in years.
Well,
they're good.
Well, I've got a dislike for them now because they appear everywhere. Like they appear in my suitcase. Like how did they get in there? Like people post into my house. We went out as a team after the convention to a restaurant. I ordered a burger, and they stick those, those cocktail sticks inside. Attached to the cocktail stick was a Werther's that came out from the kitchen.
Are you serious? Wow!
It gets worse than that. Like, okay, I've got so many things here that were given to me at Werther's, but there was here actually this. Someone gave me a origami thing. Not very
there you go. That's cool.
There's a Werther's stuck inside.
Wow!
Right, I was at Comic Con in London, and this guy called Adam and Cameo, they said, Neil, we missed the last Kickstarter, so we need to buy Volume 7 of Twist the Dark. I said, sure. Don't. I see those words on your screen. So anyway, I said, well, yeah, the book's over there. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw Thor's hammer. Was on top of the.
There you go. You can lift it. You're worthy, man. You're worthy, man. That's awesome.
Well, get this. So I saw Thor's hammer on the book, and they said, but Neil, I can't take it. Why not? It's Thor's hammer on it. I can't lift it.
Right.
So fine. And I picked up the hammer. I gave the book to sign, and they said, "Have you seen it?" And I looked at it, and this is all Werther's wrappers over the whole thing. And then they all said at the same time, "I guess you're worthy."
Worthy, yeah. Wow, that's awesome. So this is like, man. I mean, honestly. By the way, we're not sponsored by Werther's, but we do like the candy. I got to ask a question. First off, why do you think Black Mirror as a franchise works so well in comics form? Do you see this project opening the door to even more Black Mirror adaptations or even original stories? Possible.
We have other Black Mirror stories in production right now. I would love to do original Black Mirror stories. I would love to make new ones. Ideally with Charlie's, because ideas that were too short for TV, but he has ideas. I would love to do that, but that's not my decision. It's not I don't own the brand. So who
does Black Mirror? Is it Netflix or Amazon? Who is it? One of them.
So it's actually a company called Banijay.
Banijay, okay.
But they own. It's very. You've never seen any merchandise with Black Mirror logos on it, have you?
No, there's a reason. Toys, t-shirt.
Yeah, the rights are so complex between Channel 4 in the UK, Endemol, Zeppotron, Netflix. Banijay bought the rights to everything, but they only bought the rights to stuff that's already been made. So any future stuff, I don't think they have the rights to. So I don't know if they can make new stuff without Charlie's approval. So hopefully I'll get to meet him one day and convince him like, let's make some new ones.
That could be a Black Mirror episode in itself. Of maybe we can't make anything original. That could be its own like original. You know, what I'm saying maybe so.
Well,
Yeah.
the funny fact was, I actually spoke to Black Mirror producers years ago. I'm talking maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been on for a long time. The show, yeah.
Because because a lot of critics compare my work to Black Mirror. So I think I don't know how it happened, but a producer of Black Mirror reached out to me, and I said, "Do you want to pitch some ideas for stories?" I was, yes, I'd love to write Black Mirror episodes. So I pitched my ideas, and they said, some of these ideas we thought of before, but the truth is Charlie wants to write all the stories himself.
Right.
And it's his thing, right? He created the whole thing, so that's his right. But I was like, damn it! Because I do love it, and some of his stuff is genius, though. That sequel to U.S.S. Callister, perfect.
That's solid gold, in my opinion, as well. I got to ask, quick before we wrap up the broadcast, we got a minute or so left. Where do people find out or go to Kickstarter? When is the Kickstarter launching? Is it launching now? I believe it is.
10th of March.
Okay, 10th of March. And first off, I want to thank you for joining us on the broadcast. I'd like to bring you back. We have a little extra time. Can't talk too much about it, but you had mentioned earlier in the broadcast there is going to be some kind of a virtual reality thing. We'd like to bring on you or possibly your other guy is the expert on that. Can you tell us just what to look out for, like a little condensed? Is there VR? What is it? What is going on with that?
So, as far as I'm aware, it's the world's first VR comic book.
Okay.
And it's experience. So you can do things in it, and in every volume, there's a different scene. You can explore it, and some of the things that you find will trigger a scary moment, and the music changes and the look changes, and
you can look full 360. Is there anything interactive, like moving, or
in some of them, yes.
Okay.
In one, it's just rain. Other times, there's some freaky stuff happening. But the reading experience is incredible because you use it doesn't use the controllers, use your hands to pinch, and you can have this giant screen in high definition, the whole comic book, and you just turn pages, or you can just press a button, and you can push it back, and it's an incredible experience if you like.
Neil,
VR.
You may have created a new format for comics. I've never heard of that ever being. That could be.
As far as I'm aware, it's the first one. If you have a VR thing, I'll send you a free copy of it. You should try it because it's quite an experience. Actually, it looks way better than it sounds.
Yeah, my client, he's my buddy. I'm his agent, Chris McCauley. He's got just not plug him real quick, but he's got a cool series we're working on that supports military veterans and people with PTSD that served in the military, and disabled veterans. Working with a foundation, possibly like Helping a Hero. They build like houses for veterans that have been disabled from the military service. And one of the things we're looking at possibly is some video games, maybe some VR stuff like that. But that would be an interesting thing for comics. So you're doing more comics as well, but I'm like, wow, that's powerful stuff. Like if we were talking about maybe doing something with VR as an experience, or it could be showcased at charity events, for people can interact with the book. The new book is coming out, I believe, a week or so. It's in March. It's called Ghost Protocol. Kind of harkens back to the Tom Clancy-esque, but tiny bit 2 to 5 years in the future, going into rogue AI and a whole bunch of stuff. The 8-page shift preview came out a few weeks ago, and I think that could be something very positive as well. What you're doing with your VR, the sky's the limit, envisioning a positive future. I want to thank you, Neil, for joining us on this broadcast, man. This has been a blast, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun, and you really know your sci-fi. I like that because it's good to speak because my wife doesn't like sci-fi, so this is great.
It's all good, man. You have a beautiful day. I think it's the evening coming up where you're at, correct?
Yeah. I've got another call in 15 minutes. So I've got to, but this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. And great work with your logo. Way better than James Cameron.
I appreciate you, man. I'll be seeing him maybe next week, this coming weekend over at the Saturn. So hope I don't know if I'll have to ask him, maybe he has questioning about the logo. Thank you so much, brother. You have a good day.